All right, but yeah, man. So I think at this point in his career with Russ, like you have to, I think you have to do one or two things with him. So either right now, just put him around a bunch of young guys and can let him run because he can do that. Like full court, we know he can run. You know he can do his thing in the full court. Half court, he's not his superpower. He can be super, but it ain't like his best strength to be in the half court. So you have to get him with the young guys who he can run and they can make mistakes. He can make mistakes, whatever. Or put him on a team that does have young guys. So you might have starters doing their thing. Russ either plays more minutes with the bench or he coming off the bench with the young guys too. But even with that, like you were saying before, it's like we have to have do we trust Russ with the ball that much? Okay, if we don't, who else are we gonna have in place with him to where Russ 60% of the time, this other person 40% of the time, or 70-30, or whatever it is. To this point in his career, man, I think that's kind of where he's at. Because I don't want to say he's not willing to sacrifice and take a lesser role because he came off the bench with the Lakers. It's just other things that played a role into his success not being what it could have been, or the team's success not being what it could have been. I feel like he was a scapegoat too, which kind of messed him up. But
Yeah.
uh, I think at this point in his career, man, it's really just about putting him around younger guys to where he can thrive best right now. So either put him on a team with young guys, kind of like what he is with the Jazz right now. So if he stays there, he's gonna take that role. Or put him on a winning team, and most of his minutes gonna come with the younger guys to where he can run, he can be running gun, make mistakes, whatever, and he just thrive with that group. So I think that's kind of where he's at right now. But I don't know, man. I think that's probably what makes the most sense for him.
Yeah, that's why him staying with Utah since they just traded him to Utah. I say that probably wouldn't be the worst thing for him because that point guard spot kind of open for him. And you
Yeah,
got Laurie marketing. Laurie is the guy for Utah right now. Like he's been hooping, but he's a shooter though. He like not down shot, so that's space for us. So that's kind of a young team that he like you said that he can run with. It's like oh sure we Russ can push the ball, he control the tempo. It's like but the main thing is like are we good with that? Is this something we want to try? You know what I'm saying? Because Russ got such a bad name now, and that doesn't help.
yeah,
I feel like anybody can be used the right way. You know what I'm saying? But it's just
yeah,
the fact that do you have the pieces around you or whatever to be used in that way? Like, can we are we built for you to do that? You know what I'm saying? Basketball is all about fit. Like, if you don't fit with this team, that don't necessarily mean you're not good. You just don't fit with
mm-hmm.
this team. And like people were saying that about him with the Lakers, like a lot of NBA players came out, like NBA analysts and stuff came out was like, um, it's not that Russ is bad. He just doesn't fit. Like this is not a team that fits Russ because like there's no shooting, there's no spacing, and Russ is part of that. Like Russ can't shoot, so he's not creating no
Yeah,
space. So we need like why would you add him to a team with that doesn't have a whole lot of spacing on it? So
yeah,
he just didn't fit there. But with like Utah, you got Walker Kessler there, you got Laurie, you got pieces. They're all young and like they can run the gun, like, and that gives Russ space. And like as long as he's willing to defer to Laurie, because like Laurie is like the number one option right now, I think you good. Like he just go like you just gotta let Russ control the tempo and push the ball with for you. Cause like you said, he's not a great half court player. Like that's just not him. So
mhm,
he can still be good though, like in the right way. But if they decide to waive him, I ain't gonna lie. I don't know what team he was fit best with. I would not sign if I'm the Clippers. I wouldn't sign him because he got to have the ball too much, and you already got Kawhi and PG. If I'm the Heat maybe because you got Tyler Hero, you got Duncan Robinson, you got Jimmy Butler. Like that's still pretty solid, and he could take that one spot over from Kyle Lowry, who hadn't really been hooping. So that's kind of decent. But there was another team. It was the Clippers, the Heat, and somebody else was interested in him. Can't remember. Uh, but either way, I think the Heat probably is a decent fit for him. So I don't know, man. We'll see. We'll see what they end up doing with him. Though. You muted, bro.
Oh, but you made me think about two things. And one thing I kind of forgot about. Hopefully, I remember. But one thing I was thinking about is oh, I do that. But one thing I was thinking about is like it's like you said earlier. It's not that Westbrook isn't a good player; he just doesn't fit. And so I think sometimes I question NBA coaching. Like I don't want to do that. Sound like how most fans are just like, oh, they can't coach. Like they say it about almost every coach. Like, oh, he can't coach. He sucks. He why is he in the NBA? Blah blah blah. But I do question to an extent sometimes where it's like, how does everybody else come to this decision that this is the best decision to make, but this coach is still stuck on that decision? And
Mm,
so the first thought I had when they got Westbrook, I was like, like you said, it's not a good fit, but I see where success can be a thing. Maybe because I'm biased, I know D Wade, and it's just like go back to the D Wade system where I either A, they're gonna have to just slash off each other. So if Westbrook got the ball, LeBron straight slasher mode. If LeBron got the ball, Westbrook straight slasher mode. Like there's no spot up and shooting because y'all can't spot up and shoot. That's not y'all game. And then B, LeBron go back to post game mode to where um, that kind of cancels out not having a shooter. So you have the ball in the post, Westbrook can slash weak side. If you hip off of that, you be smart enough cut it to where it makes sense, the timing and all that stuff. AD can shoot a little bit. He's capable shooter. Depending on which roster you're looking at, they had decent enough shooters to where it could have worked out. Um, but overall, I feel like that's the biggest thing that I look at is like is coaching at the NBA level smart enough to make that adjustment sometimes. Because it's like that makes the most sense. Like, why am I going to sit here and start them two together and make one of them be a shooter? That just doesn't make sense to me. And
yeah.
so I always think about that sometimes, man. Then on the other hand of it, it's like when you think about how Westbrook plays, I feel like coaches try to be outsmart themselves sometimes and make them be like, well, I know Westbrook played this way, but on my roster, they're gonna do this. And it's like, this man won MVP, puts up triple doubles in his sleep, has been how many time All Star, how many time first team All NBA, whatever. And you're gonna change his game to fit you and your scheme. And that makes sense. So that's what I sit back. I'm not saying Russ specific because Darvin Ham's new coach. I'm not trying to throw this on him, but I'm using that situation to like be an example to one thing about with other people. And it was like, you thought it was a good idea to make this player fit your scheme when he had so much more success in all these other teams doing it this way. That's when I question. That's what makes me question NBA coaches. When I'm like, wow, like you have a job right now as a decision maker over this team. Interesting. Not saying good or bad, just interesting. So I don't know, man. It's situations like that come up. It's just like, why are you coaching? Because that's like the more obvious basketball choice. Maybe they got their precepts and stuff what coaching should be or whatever. But I just like, that don't make sense to me. But I'm just a podcast and a trainer, bro. That's all I am, man.
Nah, you're right though. Sometimes coaches like, but it's kind of, you gotta understand. It would be almost like you probably seen something like this. It'd be almost like a trainer training everybody the same way, regardless of position or
Mm-hmm.
size, like whatever weight. You train everybody the same. So everybody that walk in your gym getting the same training regimen, and so and your training regimen could be great. Like it could involve like ball handling, skill development, all that good stuff, and that's cool. Like everybody need a little bit of skill development. But if a 6'10" big walk through your door and he'll back to the basket big, he don't need the same skill development as a 6'2" guard. You know what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying? So you making them do the same workouts is like not helping one more than the other. While it may be helping both, one is getting more than the other because he's going to use it more than the other. So you need to use him to his strengths. Like let's develop what you're gonna actually use. And that's how coaches need to be sometimes. It's like I have a system. I believe this system can be successful with the
Mm-hmm.
right guys and with the right pieces. So then number one, as like you got, like you said, you got your system, you need the right pieces. If this guy you just signed is not a right piece for that system, you need to change it because now this is what you got. And you as a basketball coach should know, like, okay, I have a system that involves a lot of LeBron post ups, AD post ups, LeBron AD pick and roll, whatever, and then shooter in the corner.
Mm-hmm.
So that's like my main offense. That's what I plan on running. Okay, cool. Now we done went and signed Russell Westbrook. So this LeBron AD pick and roll got Russ in the corner. Russ can't shoot, so they helping off Russ. Now that the pick and roll ain't there, you can't just keep running it because it's like, okay, this clearly is not going to work because I don't
Yeah.
have a shooter over there. And that's just a basic example. But I say that to say, like, if you don't have the pieces to fit the system that you think will be successful, you need to change. And like anybody coaching in the NBA, like you said, be like, man, you're making real decisions.
Mm-hmm.
If you're coaching on that level, you need to have like more than one set of plays. You know what I'm saying? Like you need to know more than one way to play the game. And you need to know more than one way to use players. And I think that's the difference between good coaches and great coaches a lot of times. Like Phil Jackson got the triangle offense. Like everybody, all basketball heads know, hoop heads know.
Mm-hmm.
Triangle offense very successful with Scottie Pippen and Michael Jordan because
Mm-hmm.
it creates spacing and opportunity for scores. And you got the best scorer in Michael Jordan. They use the same thing with the Lakers when he had Shaq and Kobe. You got Kobe who can score, but you also got Shaq who can kill one on one in the post. So the triangle offense works for both. And so he had a lot of success doing that. When he left and he went to the Knicks, he was coaching the Knicks. He didn't take the triangle offense because the Knicks ain't got no Michael Jordan. The Knicks ain't got no Kobe Bryant. You know what I'm saying? And I mean they ain't win no championship or nothing like that. I ain't gonna say act like he still was just super successful over there. But you gotta know, like, okay, this is not a team we can run the same thing we ran over here. You know what I'm saying? Like this team, this New York Knicks team is not Shaq and Kobe. And like that's very abundantly obvious. Like it's like, okay, I ain't got that dog on at the two spot to go get a bucket here on consecutive plays. So I don't think we're gonna be able to run a triangle. You know what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying? And so I think that's just the main thing because it's like I am a guy that like I am a guy that can fit into a lot of different systems. And I think that's part of why like a lot of guys think I'll be successful on the pro level. It's like, okay, you got Nelson gonna play hard. It's okay. I'm sorry. Me and my coach was just talking about this. I just reminded myself. Me and my coach was just talking about this the other day.
Mm-hmm.
He was like, we was talking about like the pro level and NBA and stuff like that. He said the NBA, pro. I said the pro stuff is all about fit, like and your roles. And
Mm-hmm.
he was like, yeah, I was talking to this this guy that hopes to represent me apparently when I finish here. Kamora was like, I was talking to him about you, and he said I think Nelson could be super successful at the pro level if you put scores around him. And he was like, um, if you got scores around Nelson to where he don't have to take on the low offensive, like he don't have to carry the low on offense, and he's gonna play defense every night.
Yeah.
So you put a score around Nelson or put guys who can score around Nelson, and he only got to do a little bit of the offense, like get in where he fit in, drop offs, lobs, pick and roll, stuff like that. That's all he has to do offensively. We're not looking for him to get us 20 a night. He just carry a little bit of the load. And then on the other end, he's gonna play D. He gonna be super successful.
Yeah.
And I'm like, Coach, I've been knew that. I knew that by myself because that's how I play pickup. When I play
Mm-hmm.
pickup, I pick one guy who can score. Like I know whoever the best scorer available is. I pick the score. I pick a perimeter score, and I pick guys who can make shots, like make threes and play D. That's all I really want. I can
Mm-hmm.
handle most everything else. Like okay, I got somebody who can score on the outside. I can score on the inside. I got shooters to space the flow and play defense. That's it. We gonna win. That's how
Mm-hmm.
I feel. And so that's like hopefully that kind of mentality is like get me paid later on in life, but we'll see about that in the future. But
Yeah.
that's all it is though. You gotta fit in basketball. Basketball is about fit, and then Russ ain't been places that fit him recently, so it's been kind of tough.
Yeah. I do got to correct you on one thing. He did try to run the triangle with the Knicks. I think
Oh, he
that's
did.
when he was the president or whatever. Whatever he had a higher, but he wasn't the coach. He had a higher position, whatever. I think Kurt Rambis was the coach he hired on. He tried to
Mhm.
repeat that because I remember Melo saying he, called up Kobe and stuff. He wanted to figure out the triangle. He wanted to work with. I think Phil was the coach for a minute. I don't remember exactly, but he's trying to sit down with Phil, have a relationship with him, whatever, trying to run triangle, whatever. Because he brought Joe Kim Noah and a couple other pieces that kind of worked, but they weren't the right age to make it work too. So it was a big mess over there. Like D Rose in that system, I think too. They weren't there yet, but it's a lot of pieces that didn't work. I think that was the J Kid era. Yeah,
Yeah.
right after right around that J Kid era. But um, yeah, like it's all about fit, bro. And I I kind of want to see what you got to think about this too. So when we talk about the greatest coaches of all time. For me personally, I usually hear two names. For me, it's only two names that come to this discussion, and it's Phil, of course, Phil Jackson, 11 rings, and you know how that goes. And it's
Mhm.
also Greg Popovich, who they kind of have the exact opposite coaching philosophy, where Phil is like, I run the triangle, we're going to find pieces to fit the triangle. Okay, Mike, you're going to fit in this triangle. This is what we do. This is what we Scottie Pippen, you're going to work in this. Dennis Rodman, you're going to make it work. Horace Grant, Ron Hopper, whoever else, Steve Kerr, Paxson, you're going to fit inside this offense. This is what we do. Kobe, Shaq, Phil, not Phil, Fish, Ori, Gasol, Bynum, LO. We're gonna run this. And y'all gonna fit into it. Versus Pop said, all right, when the 90s, all right, we doing big man. All right, let me give me Dave Robinson, Tim Duncan. Oh, we switched to more guards, more wing oriented. Okay, uh, Dave, you out of here. I gotta keep Tim because that's my dude. I rock with him. He's still great. So let me give me Tim, Manu, and Tony. So we're gonna have the dynamic of inside and outside. That was popping right then. Oh, now we're going more wing. Give me Kawhi. Okay, Jerome and him to be next. Oh, now we're doing more threes, so it's inside to outside. Okay, now we're just outside, so give me more three shooters. To where Greg is like he's like water. I'm flowing, I'm fitting to whatever space is needed. So the game's going this way, I'm going this way. Game's going that way, I'm going that way. So I don't dictate my coaching based off my coaching. My coaching dictated off what the game has. And he quoted one time, he was like, bro, I hate the game right now. I don't like all the threes. I don't like all the shooting, but I want to win. So therefore, I'm gonna conform to what the game is kind of set for me. And so now I had this internal debate for a while. Now every time it comes up, it's like, is it easier to conform your coaching to what is given to you, or is it easier to dictate what you have and piece that in? So like, who was the greater coach then? Because it's one thing, it's easy to say, I just fit to what the league has, just give me the players and I develop whatever, whatever. Like not to say this great Papa just does whatever, he just freestyles every year, but like
Mhm.
he's more adaptive to what goes around. Versus Phil, who was just like, I run a triangle, take it or leave it. And it worked. Now, would it work this year? Another conversation. Because if you want to be completely real, which I think Steve probably still stole some of that to use it now. So like his high post offense, he probably got most of that from the triangle. But another conversation. I don't know the playbook that detail, but it's two halves to this. So who do you feel like is the GOAT coach of Phil versus Pop? And I probably know your answer on this one, but like which philosophy do you subscribe to more between this is my offense, you fit into it, and if you can't have success with it, or I'm like water and I'll just go with the flow of what happens.
Um, I would say, Phil got more rings and stuff, so there's something to be said for that. But I feel like it's them two are like the two ways you have to be able to coach. Like it's either one or the other. Because like I said earlier, if you got a system and you plan on running the system no matter what, you need to go get guys that fit it. And if you don't, then you need to be willing to change.
Mm-hmm.
So it's really like they're the only two options. It's like, okay, I run a triangle. I'm finna go get guys that can run the triangle. So when he came in, he knew he had Michael Jordan. When Phil Jackson came into the Bulls, he already had Michael Jordan. I don't think Scottie Pippen was there at the time when he first became the coach. But Phil had to teach Mike how to play together. Like you can't do it on your own. You gotta trust your teammates. Like we all remember, that whole story. And so Phil had to teach Mike to trust his teammates and play with them because the triangle don't work if you don't pass the ball. That's part of it. Like you got to move the ball. But he knew Mike. He also had a scorer in Mike, like somebody like who could score the ball. Then you went. He got Scotty, who was a facilitator, and you got guys like Steve Kerr, John Paxson that could shoot. And then he got everybody else can defend. Ron Harper could defend. When they got Dennis Rodman could defend. Bill Cartwright could defend. So that was the main thing. It was like, okay, he got guys who fit this system. And he got them to buy in. That's part of coaching too. You got to get guys to buy in to what you got going on. Because if they don't buy in, they don't believe in your if they ain't buying what you're selling, y'all ain't gonna get very far. You know what I mean? So Phil was very good at that. That's why they call him the Zen Master or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Like he got everybody to buy in. So take the same thing to the Lakers. Had Kobe, had Shaq, had Kobe. Then you got guys like Robert Ory and Derek Fisher who can make shots, and then they defend. So it works. But I would say Pop is a little bit of a better coach, like coaching mind, I would say. Because like you said, that ability to adapt to the game. Because I think a good mark of how good a coach Pop was that people probably don't think about. Pop won 5 championships in that Tim Duncan era and 3 different finals MVPs for the 5. Because I want to say David Robinson won one, Tim Duncan won 3, and then Tony Parker. Wait, no, Tim Duncan might have won 2, and then David Robinson had one. Tim Duncan had 2. Tony Parker had one, and then Kawhi Leonard had one. We might need to fact check that, but he got 5 rings in the middle of that, but has several different Finals MVPs. So that lets you know, like he didn't win it doing the same thing every time. You see it? I'm gonna let you.
Yeah, Kawhi won the last one. Then it was Tony, Timmy,
No.
Timmy, and Timmy. So Timmy won 3,
Okay.
Tony won 1, and then Kawhi won the last one.
Okay. So 3 out of 5 championships, somebody different won the Finals MVP. Because we know Tim in 2012, Tim was like slowing down. He was slowly on the way out. He still was good. It was Tim Duncan, but he wasn't Timmy. You know what I'm saying? So, but Kawhi was on the come up, and then Kawhi got it because he was guarding LeBron. We know how that goes. But then Tony Parker won his. Tony Parker was the biggest part of that. Well, was probably the biggest piece of that championship because of how well he shared the ball and scored. So he getting everybody else involved.
Mm-hmm.
The other 3, Tim Duncan was just the best power forward. Like Tim Duncan is Tim Duncan. So I think that's a good mark of a coach. Like, okay, I got pieces, I got guys, but we might do it differently. We might have to do it differently this year. Like everything can't be the same. Because it's
Mm-hmm.
like you have a good system. The triangle works against every team, just about. But at the same time, you need to be able to adapt. You need to be able to change. So I would say not Greg. Let me respect Pop. Pop got the better coach in mind, but obviously, Phil Jackson got some of the best talent ever. You know what I'm saying? Okay, he just you coach Michael Jordan, like what you say? You know what I'm saying? You coach Kobe, Shaq and Kobe, what you say?
Mm-hmm.
But if I was going off like coaching ability and coaching mind, I would probably say Greg Popovich probably has it more than Phil Jackson.
So mental toughness is one of the biggest things that I know pretty much every coach preaches to the players, and also one of the biggest factors in the players' game is the mental toughness. So I know that a lot of coaches wish their players would be mentally tougher, and they struggle with teaching them and understanding, what mental toughness is to apply it to the game. So to help you guys out, I wrote a whole ebook breaking down what mental toughness is, different factors that make up what mental toughness is, and different ways that you can apply it to your life and your game, because it's a good blend of the player and the person of how both sides of you can grow in your mental toughness. So I broke it down in the ebook, The Mental Toughness Playbook. The whole ebook is about 50 pages, a little less than 50 pages, easy to read, a simple breakdown of what mental toughness is, different factors and different areas in it that impact your mental toughness, and how you can grow and develop in there. So if you're interested in it, It's in the description below. So go ahead and look in the hit that link and invest into yourself by investing into your mindset and mental toughness. Because I personally believe that um, your brain and your mind is so much powerful than you give it credit. So invest into your mindset, and then your body will follow afterwards. So the mental toughness playbook, get the ebook below. If you tune into it, thank you. I appreciate it. If not, it's fine. Get back to the rest of the episode. See you later. So that's kind of what I come to in my debates, where it's like, well, so my argument for Pop is like, when he's adapted to whatever came at him, he's able to be flexible. And it's two quotes that I remember from him that I respected him more because of how humble he is as a coach, to where he's not a know it all. For one, he was like, when he had LaMarcus Aldridge, everybody, like, on paper, it's like, oh, that's gonna work because you got, basically Tim Duncan 2.0 or a remix. It's just like 7 footer, not athletic. He bankboard. It's too similar of a matchup, too similar of a transition to not make that. It's it's just too easy. That's the obvious comparison. And so Pop basically thinking the same thing in his mind. He is like, I made the biggest mistake I made with him was trying to treat him and coach him like Tim Duncan, and he had enough humility to say, I messed up doing that. Like most coaches would have just been like, he was the issue, or he wouldn't have took 100% of the blame. Like most coaches wouldn't have done that. He's like, no, I messed up with him completely. And the relationship changed when he said, I opened up myself to really learn him for who he is and coach him how he need to be coached. And that's basically a very small synopsis of how he's coached over his whole tenure. So he's just open to what needs to happen. Okay, I can't do Twin Towers no more since the 1990s anymore. Okay, I just got this little wild left-handed Euro guy doing this crazy wild stuff. How do I coach with him? Okay, and I get the little fast Frenchman that's just all over the place. How do I coach with him? Now I got this little quiet, introverted, long arm, big hand dude. How do I coach him? So he's able to just fit and maneuver and adjust into where, like, think about it this way too. Like, you have to basically change your playbook so often too, because that's a tough little adjustment you got to make. You know what I mean? So that's tough in itself. So that's my argument for Pop, to where it's like he's flexible, he's open, he's humble enough to make all these adjustments, whatever. But on the other end of it, people say, "Oh, you got the best talent. You bound to win." Well, we've seen where 73-9 didn't equal a championship. We've seen where two former MVPs and probably the best ball handler of all time, being the Brooklyn Nets of KD, James Harden, and Kyrie, not work out. Matter of fact, they got bounced in the first round. We've seen where probably the most dominant one-two punch in Kobe and Shaq, adding GP and Karl Malone, not work out. Like, we've seen what talent was up here and it didn't work out. So you can't just say all talent is automatic. But at the same time, that in itself is a coaching challenge to manage this talent. The personalities of the quiet, introverted, chilling Pippen versus the super out there Dennis Rodman, Wild Child, versus the hot headed, I don't say hot headed, but like brash dictator of Michael Jordan. How do you manage those three and the other 12 guys on the roster? Then you go from, I don't say lazy, but um, not the most dedicated worker in Shaq. He's you know he's Shaq, but the most dominant force ever. Then you got the crazy, wild workhorseman of Kobe Bryant. How do you manage those two heads colliding for 82 games for like 5 seasons? That's the whole task in itself. You feel me? So I don't think that people understand how difficult of a coaching job it is, just managing personality. Forget playbook, just personalities in the locker room issues that go on, because you can have a great team, but if the locker room ain't right, some people can't bounce back from that. Like, if I don't like you as a human being, I can't like you as a player. So it don't matter what we're talking about. Like, some people can't do that. And Phil's able to manage that in the 90s, early 2000s, and came back and did it again in the teens with Kobe, Lamar Odom, Pau Gasol, Andrew Bynum. He had that group. So this is like, That's crazy too, bro. Like, how do you manage this great talent and make sure everybody's humble enough to be locked in on the same page? Not to only do that once, but they have a three-peat twice and a back-to-back, and almost had a three-peat again. Like, that's crazy to do. So that's when I go back and forth. I'm just like, that's tough. That's very tough. You had a three-peat with two different teams, then you went back to back with basically a whole other team, and you matched all those egos, all the personalities to where it's just like boom, clockwork. We won one. You went back to back, three-peat. Took a break, three-peat. Took another break, three-peat. Took another break, back to back. Like, that's just crazy, bro.
It
Like,
is crazy.
and so that's when I'm just like, dang, Phil got to be the GOAT. So I always go back. I really can't pick between those two. Like, for me, it's just those two a lot. Like, if we had a Mount Rushmore of coaches, those two are on there. You can pick the other two. Like, Larry Brown comes to mind. Chuck Daly comes to mind. Coach K, Gino, Don Staley, of like just coaches that come to mind of being like that level of
Coach
coaching.
coaches.
GOAT coaches. Like, that's you can pick the next two. We can debate the next two, but those two are not moving off my Mount Rushmore. You can throw Red R back. It's whatever. But those two are non-debatable for me. Like, we're not doing that. So I'm I can't pick an answer because I always go back and forth between. That's my argument for both sides of it. So I'm just like, I'm stuck. So I don't know, man.
Yeah, it is tough. Like it's just like it's almost just like Braun and Jordan because it's like, shoot,
Hmm.
Jordan got more rings, 6-0, but Braun, what he done did with the adversity he done had, and the numbers they put up that he put up is like it's almost just like that. So it's like it really depends on who you decide who you pick. So
Yeah.
or your personal preference. But I love Pop, man. Like I feel like Pop is a great basketball mind. I feel like Phil is too. I don't want to take that away from Phil. Like he's just not a great basketball mind, but
Oh yeah, yeah.
you know, you can't deny the talent that Phil had. You know what I'm saying? Like I get, Pop had Tim Duncan and David Robinson, but Phil had Michael Jordan and Scottie Pippen, then Shaq and Kobe. So it's like if Phil had an all time team of players he didn't coach, it would be the best team to ever.
Yeah, yeah.
His all time team could be like Mike, Kobe, Scotty, Dennis Rodman, Shaq. Like that could be his all time.
You have Pip at the one. You have Kobe and Mike at the wings. Rodman at the four. Shaq at the
Shaq and
five.
five.
You got Paul Gasol off the bench. Lamar Odom off the bench. Fisher off the
Man,
like. Come on, man.
Mello.
Like, Melo. Like, come on. What are we doing here,
What
bro?
we
Like,
doing?
then
Like,
like you can think about it like this too. I was thinking about this to kind of like put stuff in perspective. Then we had this talk before, but
mm,
if you had a draft of this coach's players and this coach's players, you going. We just named five people, and only one person interrupting these five. So it's like Mike, Kobe, Shaq, probably the top three.
yeah,
Let's say it like this: Mike's number one, Shaq's probably number two, Kobe, because people will debate between Kobe and Tim. So Tim's interrupting their first five, so he's probably
yeah,
number three for some people. Kobe number three for some people. Just depends, but whatever. We're not. That's not the point. So let's
yeah.
say your first three are gonna be Fields players. Next option is probably Tim. The next two, three, probably Phil again. Then you gotta throw Manu and Tony in next there.
Cool.
Kawhi still drops down some just because he wasn't Kawhi Leonard while
Yeah,
he
he
was with the
wasn't the
Spurs.
guy yet.
He
Yeah,
wasn't the guy yet. So um, the last few years he kind of turned into the guy, but they didn't win with him, so it's a little different. But then Kawhi probably sneaks in top 15, maybe top 20. But you're going like feel, pop, feel, pop, maybe feel, pop. Then it's like feel again. Drop down to where we get to Kawhi. Oh, Dave Robson too. So Dave Robson's
David
probably top
Robinson.
10. But
Yeah,
it's long list of feels.
it's
Like
a
it's
long list of fields. You talk about Mike, Kobe, Shaq, Tim.
mm-hmm.
Then you probably go. Then you debate between. No, my fault. Scottie Pippen.
Yeah,
So
Pip.
yeah, Mike, Kobe, Shaq, Tim, Scottie Pippen. So you got four of the top five. Then next you
Mm-hmm.
probably put David Robinson.
Mm-hmm.
But then you got Dennis Rodman. You got
Mm-hmm.
Melo. You probably go
Mm-hmm.
Melo. And then you decide between Tony Parker, Manu, and then Pau Gasol.
Yeah, that's a
So
little you can
that's a
juggle
little
between that.
debatable, yeah. So you talking about 7 of the top 10? That's
That's
tough.
tough, man. That's
That's
tough.
tough.
So when it comes to talent, Phil probably has had the most talented roster of players that he's coached.
Yeah.
That's I never thought about that. Phil probably has the most talented players of ever. Like
Yes. That's why you
that.
can't. That's why it's hard to debate. Like if he's the best coach ever. Like he didn't coach the best talent.
Mm-hmm.
Like just being real. We look at it like in hindsight, but like you coach Michael Jordan and Kobe Bryant. Like you coach Michael Jordan and then Michael Jordan 2.0. Like
Mm-hmm.
of course the system still works.
Yeah.
And you coach Shaq, the most dominant center. And
Mm-hmm.
it's like it ain't too many people beating that. You know what I'm saying? So,
Yeah.
but then you got Pop, who he got Tim Duncan, David Robinson, best power forward ever, top 5, top 10 center, however you want to put David Robinson. And they rocked out for a while. Then you get Tony Parker. Ain't nobody throwing Tony Parker in they top 5 point guards, top 10 point guards, really.
Might
Then
even be top 20.
That's what I'm saying. Like, folks don't put a whole lot of respect on Tony Parker like that. Like, he's a great player. Everybody acknowledges that he was great, but like, no one says that he was like one of the best point guards ever. So a
Yeah.
lot of guys throw in there over Tony Parker. And then you got Manu Ginobili, great player, but like he was a 6 man kind of guy. That's how people look at him. He's one of the best 6 men ever. But him
Mm-hmm.
being a 6 man is also part of like Pop's scheme. You know what I'm saying? Like
Mm-hmm.
he like, very easily could have started Manu. But he's like, nah, let Manu come off the bench. We're gonna start Danny Green. Like, ain't nobody ever thought Danny Green was better than Manu. Like, if there was a
Yeah.
draft, Manu and Danny Green was both on the board, we'd probably take Manu out the gate.
Mm-hmm.
But he's starring Danny Green just because that's like seems to be the best fit for their team. So that's also a testament to Pop and his basketball knowledge. So you got
Mm-hmm.
Manu Ginobili, one of the better European players ever. And then brought in Kawhi Leonard, who, like we mentioned, wasn't really the guy yet when you got there. Still, like, he turned into Kawhi Leonard, but even in the finals, his finals like stats weren't great. He just was a great defender for LeBron. Like, and Bron still up put Bron numbers. I know folks y'all probably get ready to put that in the comments. How are you lock on LeBron? Bron average this and this. Like, I know, bro. I watch the games. I'm just saying, Kawhi was a great piece, and he
Mm-hmm.
slowed Bron down to a certain extent.
Mm-hmm.
So that you say what you want, but like Phil just did coach way better talent. And Pop just had to Pop put stuff together. You know what I'm saying? Beat the Miami Heat, beat the Big Three, beat Kobe and the Lakers, like with Tim Duncan and them.
Mm-hmm.
Like he did some thing now. That's another thing we probably should throw in there. Like we might have to pick a day to talk about like best coaches ever. Cause what teams did Phil and them beat on their way to all these championships? Cause
That's where my
Pop,
mind was headed too.
yeah, cause Pop them beat Bron in the Miami Heat Big Three. He
Mm-hmm.
definitely put out the Lakers a couple times. Who
Mm-hmm.
else did they play in the finals before? Um, I'm trying to think. Cause
You
they
got to
won
think playoffs too. Like they didn't have some tough matchups. They didn't had to beat the Kings, like the early Kings,
the Chris
when they had
Webber
Chris
and
Webber and Bibby and White Chocolate,
yeah,
Stojakovic, BeBall. They used to have a nice little team there. So he had to beat
yeah,
them. But Mike had to beat. He beat the Sonics, the Suns, and the Jazz all them times. And I think he beat one more team to get to the finals. Uh, on his way to the playoffs, he had to beat Bird that year. I think they had to beat Bird one of them years. But the coach had to beat the Pistons. The
yeah,
Cavs used to be good in the '90s.
yeah.
But if we had to rank these teams now, that's the real conversation. If we had to say the
They rank their
'91
competition.
Cavs versus the 2001 Kings, that's the conversation that we're trying to get, like we're pushing to now, because which is a whole other, we have to sit and really sit and think about it. That's a whole, I have to actually prepare for that one, but that's another conversation that can kind of push who's better. But I don't know, man. Like off the top of head, most people probably say Phil had the harder competition, but if you had to really break down who they beat, and then you got to think about the Lakers later on. They beat the Celtics.
Exactly.
They beat us in the finals, which we didn't have Kendrick Perkins, but that's another conversation for another day. I ain't gonna bring it up like a bitter Celtics fan.
I get it.
Should have went back to back, but hey, you miss your defensive anchor. It's tough to win, but no excuses. They won, whatever. Gotta live with what happened. So they beat us. They beat the Magic, which some people say not as impressive because it was kind of like a, you know, welcome to White. Get back out of here. Like that's kind of what it felt like.
I'll get back at it.
That was cute. Now get back out of here. So they had that. They beat us again. I think the following year. No, we won. They won against the Magic in '09. They beat us in 10. And then I think the Spurs won in 11. I don't remember. But
Okay,
I
I'm
just feel
looking
like the
at some of.
competition. Oh, okay.
All right, so they won championship in 1999. The Spurs did.
Hmm.
So this like right after the Bulls, Mike retired for the second time.
Hmm.
They beat Timberwolves first round. Timberwolves won all that 99. They probably had
That was
KG.
KG.
Yeah,
Maybe
young
Sam
KG,
Cassell. Maybe Latrell
Marbury.
Sprewell. Well, I
Yeah,
had
so
one of them.
yeah, decent team, but nah, they weren't finna beat the Spurs.
Yeah.
Then they swept the Lakers.
Mm.
This was 1999, so Shaq was there, but Kobe was still like coming off the bench.
Yeah, he
You
was
know,
baby. He was baby Kobe.
baby Kobe. So they swept them. Um, then they played the Trailblazers, Western Conference Finals. I don't know how good they was, but they got swept, so they couldn't have been that
You
great.
said '99. That was the
Mm-hmm.
Jailblazers team. I think that might have been Sheed and them.
Trailblazers. Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
Steve Smith.
Scottie Pippen
She
was on that team, wasn't it?
Pippen was on that team. He might have went. I think he was with the Rockets for like a year or two, and then
Yeah.
went there. I think so. I don't remember exactly, but something like that.
But yeah, they swept the Trailblazers, and then they played the Knicks in the finals. 1999 Knicks. Who might have been on the Knicks in '99?
Mm. They won.
Uh,
Yeah. No
yeah,
offense,
Ewing
but
in
nah.
them. Yeah, they beat them in five. So there we go. And then they won the finals again. Well, dang. Well, hold on. Lost Western Conference Finals. We lost Western Conference semifinal. Okay, no. All right, so 2003 they won it again.
Hmm.
They went to 6 games with the Suns first round. 2003 is that Steve Nash, Mark Stoudemire in them years, or
No,
no?
that's before then. That was oh
Steve
three,
Nash
oh three. That might have been. Hold on, you said the West Conference Finals
first round, first round.
first round. That might have been the J Kidd years.
Oh,
No, he
okay,
was with the Nets by then. It had to be Nash then. Yeah, it had to be Nash.
okay. So they
That's
beat
probably
them
like
in six.
Nash, maybe Joe Johnson. Um, yeah, the Nash or Johnson years. If I had to get, Q Rich was there. Amari might have been there,
Let's
but
look it up
it
real
wasn't like
quick.
the Suns that we know. It wasn't the 7 seconds or less Suns.
2003 Suns had Barbosa. They had Penny
He was a rookie.
Hardaway, older
Yeah,
Penny
Penny.
Hardaway, Joe Johnson,
Yeah,
Stephon Marbury, Sean Mary, Antonio McDyess, Amar Stoudemire. Steve Nash was not there though. Amar
so he's with the
Stoudemire was not
Mavs
there.
by then. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so a decent team. Then next round they played beat the Lakers again in six, 2003. So this was right after Shaq and Kobe broke up type stuff. So
That was young Kobe. He was a menace back then. He was
yeah,
oof,
he just was hooping,
well, balling
going
back
stupid.
then. But
Yeah, he was going stupid. Then they beat the Mavericks in six.
so that was
So
the Nash Dirk years.
Nash, Dirt, yeah, yeah, that
Okay,
was Western
Mike
Conference
Finley.
Finals.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
and then they beat the Nets in six in the finals. So that was J Kidd and them.
J Kidd, VC. Uh, that's all I remember right now.
Um,
Kerry Kittles.
yeah. Then you go '05, won again in '05, so 2 years later. This is fun. I like this. They beat the Nuggets in 2005. That was young Mello, probably
Young Mello.
old AI. Yeah, beat them
Ooh,
first
'06. I mean '05.
'05. Was he still playing '05?
Nah, that wasn't AI. That wasn't the AI years.
Okay, I knew AI played there like early 2000s. So they beat the Nuggets in five, first round. Second round, they played the Supersonics, beat them in six. So I don't know who was on the Supersonics in 2005.
AI, not AI,
Ray
Ray
Allen?
Allen,
Ray
Ray Allen,
Allen.
Rashard Lewis,
Yeah,
Vladimir
yeah, yeah.
Armanovich. That might have been them years. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, it had to be. Yeah, so
yeah,
beat them
yeah.
in six. Then they beat the Suns in five, Western Conference Finals. So the same Suns team. Well, 2005 was Nash
They
might have
had to
been
be.
there
They had to be Nash years.
because they got to the Western Conference Finals, so it had to be. And then finals, they beat the Pistons in seven. That was Rashid and Ben Wallace and all of them.
Yeah.
2005 went to 7 games with them. So tough competition. I get to a little tough competition here. I get to them. But they still had Big Timmy, Tim, Tony, Manu in 2005.
Mm-hmm.
2 years later, they win it again, 2007.
Mm-hmm.
So they basically win it every other year.
Yeah, that was the thing about them, man. It's like the Spurs can never win back to back. It was like every other year, like it got to a point where it's like, okay, every other year they just gonna win, and it was like odd number years. So it's like 03, uh, then the first one, the second one they won in 03, right? Was it
It
05?
was 99, then '03, so 4 years later, then
Yeah,
'05, then '07.
yeah, yeah. So it's like I think after 05, we was like, no, I think 05, 07, it's like okay, they're just gonna win every other year now. So 08 they're gonna lose, but 09 they're gonna win. Then 10 they're gonna lose, 11 they so it's like okay, get it every other year Spurs winning, just kind of like that, bro. It
That
feel like
did
that at
seem
one
like
point.
how it was. But I'm looking at their records too. They had so many great records. Pop got like the most 50 win seasons of any coach or something like that. Cause
Yeah,
like from 1990, I don't know when Greg Popovich got hired with the Spurs. Let's see. Actually, I'm gonna look that up real quick too.
it was mid 90s, late 90s, something like that, like 98, I think 97.
Um, 1996. He
Hmm.
took over 1996. 96 they won 59 games. 97 they didn't make the playoffs. 50 win season. 99 something happened because they only got like 50 games. So there might have been like the lockout.
Yeah,
Not
that
the
might have been a
lockout.
lockout season.
So yeah, something happened.
It had to be.
2050, 2050 win season, 2001 50 wins, 2002 50 wins, 2003 60, 2004 50 wins, 2005, 2006 60, 2007, 2008, 2009, 2010, 2011 61, 2012 50, 2013 50, 2014 62, 2015 50, 2016 67, 2017 61, and then they've been burning out ever since 2017. So 47 wins.
67.
They was 5 games away from liking them before
That was on
Steph.
the burner. That's
No, I'm
crazy.
lying. Wait, hold on. 2016, they won 67 games. That's the same year as the 73-9 Warriors. I wonder how them games went.
That's
Like
crazy, bro.
that, yeah, that is crazy. So he got like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 60 win seasons. That's probably the most of any coach too. I don't know,
It might
but
be.
because like early on, like the 60s, 70s when Bill Russell and them was playing, they ain't play 82 games.
No.
So I
I don't think
guarantee
the
you,
82 game season came a thing until maybe 80s.
yeah. So Pop probably got
Like
that most 50 and 60 win seasons for a coach.
like before this last few seasons he had to be the most winning coach. Like yeah, I think if you count it, think like, you gotta have a minimum. I think if you count like a minimum of a certain amount of games, I'm pretty sure he was the most winningest coach. Like he had to be, because ain't no way out of the first 15 years of your career, you done had 660 win seasons and then another 850 win seasons. And then one year you could have got 50, but you had the short and lockout season. So technically you still got the 50 win if you want to count that year out. But
Yeah.
come on, bro. Like the only reason he hit 40 now because he ain't got the teams like he used to have. But I don't know what the Spurs doing now, so kind of sucks for him. But I don't know.
Like Phil Jackson won 60 wins. 5 times with Chicago and 2 times with the Lakers. So that's 7. So he got more than Greg Popovich.
Mm.
But and Pat Riley got 3, 4, 5 with the Lakers, 1 with the Heat, and 1 with the Knicks. So he also has 7. And we
Mm.
counted out 6 for Pop, right? Yeah, Pop got 6. So he don't have the most, but he right there with him 6, and then the highest is 7. But I know he do got the most 50-win seasons. I do know that.
Mm.
They won 50 wins like 10 seasons in a row.
Yeah,
More.
that's tough.
Crazy.
That's tough.
Okay, so let's move on. We was at 2007. That was the next final. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the last one we did.
All right, so 2007, they beat the Nuggets in 5.
Mm-hmm.
2007, that was still young Melo.
Mm-hmm.
Then they beat the Suns in 6. I think that's still
Mm-hmm.
Steve Nash in them.
Yep.
And then beat the Jazz in the Western Conference Finals in 5. Who was on the Jazz in
That's D
2007?
Will, Boozer, and them. Gotta
Aaron
be.
Will still there. Yeah,
AK
yeah, yeah.
47.
Oh,
You know,
okay,
right
yeah,
here.
yeah, yeah. Okay, okay, okay. So they had a decent team, but it went
Rajah
crazy.
Bell. Might have been them.
Yeah, beat them in 5. They
Mm.
swept the Cavs in the finals.
That's the year we want to talk about for LeBron.
Yeah, we'll talk about with yeah, they was the games weren't too bad. That first game 1 they won by 9. Game 2 they won by 11. Game 3 they won by 3. Game 4 they won by 1. So every game was relatively close. So they like they just got smacked, but they did get swept though. So in hindsight, it's like they got smacked.
Yeah. But we all knew that like
It was over with.
it's a Spurs championship, man. We all knew it.
Yeah.
It's just a matter of winning how. It's just the only question.
Yeah, I remember my dad always be saying when the Cavs won the Eastern Conference Finals, they were celebrating like they won a championship, and the announcer was like, "Well, they should because they're not beating San Antonio. They're
That's messed
not
up.
beating San Antonio."
It's
That's
the truth.
tough.
So hey.
You had Baby Bron going in there against Tim Duncan, Manu Ginobili, and Tony Parker. He had Zaza. No, I shouldn't say Zaza Pachulia. What's the buddy name? The big Ilgaskis and Anderson Barrett.
Junior Sidgauskis. Yeah.
Yeah.
If you
Like, man, come
if you okay, Bron and Timmy. Timmy's right. Bron's right hand man was Big Z. Not even like that wasn't even like big. That wasn't like fully Big Z. That was like a capable version of Big Z.
he was
I
a good
mean, like
player.
he was a good player. I think he might have had one All-Star year with LeBron around that time.
Yeah.
Versus Manu and Timmy. You got to put them together because like Manu and Timmy. That's like a
Tony Parker and Timmy.
yeah, Tony and Tony and Manu. So it's like that's the next little punch of what's next. So because you like neither one of them were like the second guy, but both of them together were the second guy. So that's a little 30 piece right there. So
He just not combating that.
you just can't, man. And then your next best player, who? Mo Williams. I think Mo Williams
Eric
might have been
Snow.
the next best player. Eric Snow, like,
Eh,
it's not.
You
It's
talking
not.
about? You talking about? Let me go to John Wall route. Bron, Tim, Zilgowski's, Tony Parker, Eric Snow, Manu Ginobili. It's like you're losing
The
the battle,
lineup,
bro.
the lineups ain't getting it for me, man. So
You're losing the battle.
we all knew. We all
Yeah.
knew. Like it was cute. Like, yeah, Eastern Conference Final, we made it to the finals finally. Woo! All right. How is it gonna? It's gonna be 4 or 5. That's on the question. Are they gonna let us win one? Are we gonna sneak away one? Or it's gonna be a sweep? That's the only question. But it was cute. I think everybody rooted for LeBron. Like, yay, LeBron. But we all knew it's just like, nah, bro. You going home pretty soon. So
Hey, you had
take
a
what you
good run.
can and get out of there.
All right. So the very last one, 2014, after they played Bron back to back Miami,
Mm-hmm.
and they lost the first one. They lost in 2013 to Bron and them in the finals. 2014, they win 62 games and win the championship.
Mm-hmm.
First round, they play the Mavericks. This was like one of Dirk's last few years. They go to 7 games, beat the Mavericks in 7 games. Uh, then they play the Trailblazers. This is Baby Dame.
Yeah, say
Beat them in
damn
5.
yes. Yeah.
Yeah, got them up out of there in 5 games. Then they play the Thunder, Baby Thunder. Well, no, not so much Baby Thunder. They've been to the finals, but young KD, young Russ, young James Harden. Beat them in
Mm-hmm.
6. Then play the Heat, lose to the Heat in five. I mean, beat the Heat in five.
Mm-hmm.
And man, looking back on it, they did it pretty handily. Like this was the year they beat them by a record finals margin or whatever. Because Skip Bayless, I remember Skip Bayless always be saying that.
Yeah, it got ugly that year. Like the Spurs said, you did what? You beat us. That's cool. Catch us next year.
All
Yeah,
right.
me come back with my big. It's like little brother got beat up. Let me come back with my big brother. Spurs said, let's re up.
Kawhi.
All right,
Man,
give me my ring back.
62. Man, yeah, give me my ring back. They won 62 games. They weren't playing. They weren't BSing. They were like, nah, we finna get back. We finna get back and we gonna see them again. You know, I
Yep,
mean, that'd be the number one thing, dude, that anybody in sports know. Like, you lose to somebody on the other side of the bracket, it's like, we gonna see them again. Don't
yep.
worry.
The
Them
Spurs
boys
said, all
is,
right, bro. I'm coming back for everything that's mine. You won off a fluke because I ain't had Timmy in to get that rebound. Forget all that historic stuff. Nah, forget all that, bro. We coming back. 62 wins. And I remember that too, that like they said they took that junk kind of personal. 62 wins.
yeah.
We coming for y'all in the regular season too. But that ain't what we focus on. I want to see y'all in the finals. Y'all better. I think I'm pretty sure that what Tim and mine said. We're like, well, y'all better not lose in the freaking Eastern Conference playoffs. Y'all better come back to the finals because we come back for everything that y'all took from us, and
We
we finna
need
smack
all
y'all
that.
boys in the face. I need all of it, and they gonna feel right if we beat somebody else. I want all of y'all. Bring the same team back. Bron, D Wade, Bosh, come on back here. Now if nigga the butt whooping. So
Man,
that was
that
nasty
joint
that
was
year.
like they beat them game one, beat them by 15. Game two, Heat won by two. Game three, they won by 19. Game four, they won by 11. No, game four, they won by 21. And then
Oh
game
man,
five, they won by 17. It's like, ooh, they
dang.
was like Mika, Maka, Luka. Oh my goodness. They was on them, boy. I can't say nothing. Like that's just ooh,
It was
that's
bad.
terrible.
That was bad. Like ugly.
Minka, Monka, Luka, Doncic. Oh goodness. And I didn't even realize the Spurs was still winning 50 and 60 games even after that.
Mm-hmm.
Because
I
they
think they
won.
stopped winning after Timmy left.
Yeah, I don't know exactly what year Tim Duncan retired, but looking at these records, I'm assuming it was 2017. Or because they won 55 games the next year, won 67 in 2016, and won 61 in 2017, and then had a big drop off. 2018 won 47, 2019 won 48, 2020 they had their first losing season in like 30 years.
I think that's the only losing season or the first losing season Pop had in his tenure. Period.
No, it is actually. I'm looking at it now. That's the first number one first losing season and first time he missed the playoffs since his first year coaching the Spurs. Because he
Yeah.
got there in 96. 97, they missed the playoffs. They only won 20 games. 98, they won 56. Like it was like, all right, let's do it.
He
I
said,
think
let me get one. He said, hold on, let me get one first. Let me get my stuff together. Y'all ready? Let's go. Take over the lead. 50, 50, 50, 50, 50,
the
60, 50, 50.
They're really high. Well, I think 98 was the year David Robinson came in, or whatever, or somewhere in there, because he was in the military. They drafted him. He couldn't play right away, or like that first year, because he was still in the army, and then he came in, and then they drafted Tim Duncan. Like, when was Tim Duncan's rookie season? Let's look that up too.
97? I think
Yeah,
no, I think you might be right. I think that bad year they had was what they got them the number one pick to get Timmy.
you
Once
was
Timmy
absolutely
came
right.
in, he laid that wood to the league. Said, "Nah, bro, I ain't taking no 40-win seasons. Give me 50. I want my 50s." Timmy said, "I'm taking
Yeah,
all this."
yeah. He was drafted in 97, 1998. They won 56 games.
So yeah, I
That's
think they know what you're right because they had David a couple years before. Then, like you said, I think he had to serve or he got injured, one or two. And then that year they was terrible. And
David
then next thing you
Robinson was
know,
drafted in '87.
so
So
yeah, I know they had David for a while.
yeah, they had David for a while, but he couldn't play like that first year because he was in the military. So '88 he wasn't there. I think '89 he played, but they only won 21 games and didn't make the playoffs. 1990 they started winning. They won 56 games, then 55. They had some good seasons, but until they drafted Timothy Duncan, They didn't win no championship till he got there. So
Yeah. So
that's tough, man. That's
that
why people
alone
be
right there, bro, is like
like, you know how
why
people be
he's.
talking about Tim Duncan got better records than like whole franchises.
Oh yeah,
Like,
that's why. Yeah.
yeah, I that's John real. They were like Tim got more wins than the Timberwolves, than the whole Minnesota Timberwolves organization. And that John is crazy because it's true. Like,
I think the Timberwolves became a franchise in the '90s, so like they got about the same tenure. So like
yeah,
that's something crazy, bro.
yeah. And
But
Tim Duncan been retired like 6 years, and he
so they
still
had
got
6 years to
more
try to
wins.
catch up.
Oh my goodness!
Dang.
But yeah, Tim Duncan drafted in '97. He never had a losing season. Like, literally, he never lost more than he won. No seasons. And he got several games. I mean, several years where he was like put out in the first round or whatever. But he never
Mhm.
had a losing season, and he never did not make the playoffs. So if
Dang,
y'all ever
bro.
wonder, like, why do people always put Tim Duncan in their top 10? That's why.
That's why.
Like, Tim won 5 championships, 3 Finals MVPs. I think he only got one MVP, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
He got one MVP, but he never had a losing season. Tim got more 60-win seasons than losing seasons. He's never not made the playoffs.
Dang, that's
Like,
crazy. I have more seasons that I've won 60 games in than I have losing seasons, which is zero.
zero.
That is mind blowing. I don't think people understand how crazy it is, bro. Like
Like, it's certain players, it's teams that ain't never won 60 games in their whole existence.
a
Like,
whole
literally.
franchise, bro. Like think about a owner's stint as being an owner is 10 times longer than any player's longevity of being the owner, like being like a player. I can be an owner longer than I can be a player. Is what I'm trying to say. And the owner's never touched 60 wins in his career, but Timmy has 6 of them things in his sleep. He has 50 in his
Six.
sleep. Like that's crazy.
Hold on. Let me recount real quick. One, two, three, four. One, two, three, four, five, six. He got 6 60-win seasons. Tim Duncan does.
And he
Now,
almost got a record with 67. That's man.
now I'm finna look up like 60-win seasons by teams. So the Supersonics got two. The Bulls got three. The Bulls got three. Yeah, this man got more than like whole franchises. Like it's incredible how many times this man they won 60 games. And like the Warriors got 73 wins, the Bulls had 72, they had 69 one time. The Lakers way in the 70s had 69, the Celtics had 68. Uh the Sixers with Will Chamberlain won 68. And then the 2016 Warriors won 67. So a couple teams that have more wins than the Spurs. But in terms of 60-win seasons,
Mm-hmm.
Tim got six. Whole franchises got zero, maybe one, two or three. The Bulls got five when Mike was there, 5 or 6 when Mike was there. Like, it's sheesh, 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 sheesh.
Yeah, I saw some stat. I was like, I might be completely butchering this, so don't quote me on this 100%. But I think they say he has more rings than some franchises have playoff wins or playoff round wins, something like that. And
Oh,
I was
like
like,
Browns. Yeah, that actually
I
makes
think
sense.
so. I think so. I was like, yo, at some point, if I'm an owner of that one of them teams, I'm like, all right, let's reevaluate all of this because if this man has more championship rings than I have round wins, I'm evaluating everything I'm doing because ain't no way we be in the league around the same time. Like my team as an owner, your team as a player around the same. There's no way that should be right.
No
I
way.
might be firing myself, bro, because that don't make sense, bro. I'm pissed off. There's no way you have more rings than I have playoff round wins. Like that's embarrassing, man. There's no way. I'm too competitive for
Okay,
that.
here we go. Like, yeah, that makes me feel bad as a franchise if I see that. Okay, here we go. The Spurs have 7 60-win seasons. Tim Duncan was 6 of the 7. The Celtics have 13. The Bulls have 6. All the 6 championships that Michael Jordan won. Uh, the Lakers have 11.
Mm-hmm.
Tim Duncan got more 60-win seasons than every team in the league except the Celtics, the Bulls, and the Lakers. So that means he done won 60 wins more times than the let's think about it in terms of like how good teams have been. He got more 60-win seasons than the Warriors. He got more 60-win seasons than the Bucks. He got more 60-win seasons than the 76ers. He got more 60-win seasons than um, the Jazz, the
Mm-hmm.
Rockets, all the teams. Like you think about all the great teams that have been there. Matter of fact, I can give you some like additives. He done won more 60-win seasons than the Nets, Hornets, Nuggets, Pistons, Rockets, Pacers, Clippers, Grizzlies, Timberwolves, Pelicans, Knicks, Magic, Blade, and the Raptors combined. Like
Mm.
it's him plus 10 other teams. He got more 60-win seasons. Like that's how serious it is. So this has become the Tim Duncan episode.
Pretty much.
we, we started off with coaches, but then once we got to talk about pop, we turned into Tim Duncan.
That's crazy, bro.
So man, like Tim Duncan is like the most winningest player, not named Michael Jordan ever. And even
He
then, he
okay. Let's put it like this. You got excluding Lakers and Celtics, like that whole run that they had, because sometimes you gotta discount the Celtics franchise as a whole because they had so much stuff in the '60s that it's just like they don't count, but it count. It's an asterisk on the franchise.
right.
So Tim Duncan might be the most winningest player. Period. Period.
Hmm?
Including Jordan, because Jordan had them first couple years where things were looking ugly. Then had the last couple years where things looking kind of ugly. Tim Duncan might be the most winningest player, especially of that caliber. Period. I think Magic might be his only competition. If I had to just
Yeah,
throw somebody up there, Magic might be his only competition. Bird
let's look
might
that
be in
up.
that conversation too. Might. But Magic came out the gate rookie year in the finals. So I don't think he had a too bad of years after that. So he might be the most winningest player. I think his win percentage like in the 70s. I think so. You got to be when you win the 50 wins in almost 20
Yeah,
something
he got to
years.
be.
You
He
got to be,
got to be.
bro. You're
Kareem
winning.
Abdul-Jabbar has the most career wins with 1,074. So
Okay.
Robert Parrish is second with
Okay.
1,014. Tim Duncan is third with 1,001. Only
Hmm.
those three players have won 1,000 games. That's crazy, bro. Only three players have won 1,000 games. I never knew that. I never even thought about that.
Me neither.
And to put it in respect, like retrospect, LeBron, who'd have been to 10 finals, has
Hmm.
only won 915. So he can get into that 1,000 club, but he got to play like 3 4 more years, like and play and win because they're not
Yeah.
elite. So
You got to
like
throw them
that's
additives in there because LeBron, he can play, but I don't know if he
but it's,
gonna win.
come on. So and oh my God, this man Tim, this man Tim, that won 1,001 games. He'd only played 1,392. So he'd won 1,000 and lost 391. Let's look into that win percentage real quick, as you mentioned. 1,392 divided by 1,000. No, wait, I'm doing it backwards. 1,001 divided by
Hmm.
1,392. That's a 72% win percentage. He might have the
Yeah,
highest
that's
win
good.
percentage.
He probably does. It's
He do
easy
he do
within
got the
that
highest
span.
win percentage out of like players who won 1,000 easily. I'm looking at the numbers to can tell that out the back because they all played 200, 300 more games than him, and he was right behind him. So, but
That's
goodness,
crazy,
Lord.
man.
Shout out to Tim Duncan, man. Let's give Tim Duncan his flowers while he's still living.
Yeah, yeah.
Let's take
That's
the time
crazy,
out to do.
man.
Oh my God. So
Timothy, man. Like, golly.
and he didn't play.
Golly.
Tony Parker up here too with he like 10th, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8th. He's eighth. Tony Parker's eighth. He done won 892 games. And that's the thing about Tim. Like, if anybody wanted to be like, I mean, but Tim Duncan had this, he had that, he had Tony Parker, he had David Robinson, he got Greg Popovich. You can say that, but at the same time, Tim standing alone with these records. Like he is like
Mm-hmm.
the what's it called? The denominator that doesn't change. You know what I'm
The
thinking
common
about.
denominator.
Yeah, yeah. He's like the independent variable. That's it. That's what I'm looking for.
Oh yeah,
He's
yeah.
the
That's
he's
better.
the independent variable of all those things.
Mm-hmm.
Like for example, like people be like, we talk about Mike 6-0 in the finals, 6 championships, all that. But then you go then there's on the other side of it, people be like, well, when Mike left them 2 years, they still won 50 wins. They got 50 wins and they was in the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, okay, so when Mike left, they still was good. So like when it comes to Tim Duncan, it'd be different if it was like Tim Duncan, two people down, Tony Parker, one person down, Manu Ginobili, Dave Ross, something like that. Then it's like, okay, well, he just had a stack team. It's like,
Yeah.
nah, Tim Duncan, Tony Parker, like David Robinson ain't on here, Manu Ginobili ain't on here, none of that. And they all play with almost their whole career with the Spurs too. Well, Tony left at the end, but Manu played his whole career there. And they not on the list. Just
You
Tim.
know, you know what that just made me realize, bro? Tim Duncan is the Bill Russell of kind of our generation, but that whole generation. And when I say that, I mean he put the Spurs in that realm of the Celtics, Lakers, and Bulls. Wait, wait, hold on. Time out. Hold on real quick. I just got a quick question for you. All right, okay, look. So where does you go? Like, what are you going after right now in your life? Right? Are you looking to make the team? Okay, you didn't make the team, but you're looking to figure out how to make the team coming up. Or maybe you made the team, but you're on the bench, you're not playing like you want to. Or maybe you're playing a little bit like you want to, but you're not a starter, or you're not finishing the games like you want to. Or maybe you're the player, but you're just not quite where you want to be as far as recognizing your county or maybe your conference or your state, whatever you're trying to be recognized at. Um, Whatever your goal is, I want you to forget about that. Like put it on the board or something, write it down in your phone and just put it somewhere and tuck it away. I want you to take that goal, throw it over there, and now I want you to write a new one, right? I want you to write PROGRESS. Progress. I want you to make progress your goal. Okay? So take that big goal that you have now and take it, put it in your back pocket, and just figure out how to make progress and work towards that goal. Because sometimes we get so caught up on the goal of the end goal where we want to be that we don't keep working forward and working towards that goal like we should be. So every day I want you to wake up and figure out how to just make progress. How can I be better today than I was yesterday? It's new tomorrow. The same as that thing. Figure out how can I be better today than I was yesterday. It doesn't matter how good you are or what you did yesterday. It's irrelevant. It doesn't matter. Your goal today is to make progress, be better than you was yesterday. And so just if you need a reminder about that, all I want you to do is to have a reminder. I want you to go ahead and get one of these hoodies. Or you get you a t-shirt. I got a couple options for you. So get you a hoodie or a t-shirt just to remind yourself, just to keep it as a memento to be like, man, today's goal is to make progress. My only goal is to make progress. Progress is the only goal. So if that fits you and you feel like you need to make progress to be your goal, go ahead and hit the link in the description below and invest into yourself. Invest into that reminder. Treat it like an alarm clock to remind you that you need to make progress. Make sure that you're focused and being intentional about the work that you have today. So progress is the only goal. Hit the description below to invest into yourself. It's not about me. Investing into yourself to remind yourself that progress is my goal for today. So that's enough for me, man. I hope I didn't interrupt you. Get back to the episode.
Yeah,
But
he
yeah,
kind of is like the Bill Russell of our generation.
so he was able to like put the Spurs in that realm of playing level. Like, so now you can't mention that the top five franchises have to be, of course, Celtics and Lakers, Bulls are probably third. Spurs have to be right there, and the Warriors are probably the next. So Steph Curry did that for the Warriors. Like
Yeah.
that's crazy to think about, bro. But like when you think about these standalone stats, like Bill Russell's up there by himself. There's no other Celtics that's touching him from that era. Tim Duncan put the Spurs on the map from this era. And yeah, he had some help, but like it's Tim Duncan, Tony Parker. Oh, it's Tim Duncan, David Robson. Like it's top five Tim Duncan, somewhere down in the 15 to 20s, 30s. It's the next person. And so Tim Duncan is like the modern era Bill Russell in that sense, the modern era of Michael Jordan in that sense, because he put the Spurs in that category of franchises. So you can debate on which franchise was better between the Bulls and the Spurs. It doesn't really matter. But the point is that Tim Duncan is heavily responsible for the Spurs being in that caliber of franchise. So now you can credit Steph Curry for putting the Warriors in that category of franchises with having won those many rings. You feel me?
Facts.
And if they can squeeze another one out, like people say Steph Curry ain't up there, but if let's say this, if Steph Curry is not in your top 10, let's just say he's not. Steph Curry wins another ring in the next 3 years, let's just say. How many rings would that be?
Five.
How many does Tim Duncan have?
Five. You gotta start looking at it. You gotta put
You
respect
have
on it.
to, bro. If Tim Duncan is top 10, the number one power forward on most people's list, and like we just said, Tim Duncan is the Bill Russell of that generation. Steph Curry has to be in that conversation too. Like he had his first couple of years were pretty rough, but after that, it was just Warriors just doing their thing. He had one of the most legendary teams as far as the 73 win team. He had the historic run of finals appearances just back to back to back to back. He's smashed the 3-point record. He's arguably the best shooter of all time. All this stuff that you can throw accolades to him on. Finally got the finals MVP. More than likely, if they win another one, he's going to be the finals MVP. So it's like, what
Mhm.
more can Steph do to not be in your top 10 now? Like, you have to throw him in that category because the Warriors were just another really good team. In '90s, they had to run TMC years, which was cool.
Yeah.
After that, they was terrible. Like the Warriors were a laughing stock team. They had the We Believe Warriors for what 2 years, I think, maybe three. After that, went back terrible again. Next thing you know, Warriors are the franchise of our generation that you got to mention, or this generation. So Steph wins another one. He's in that caliber of conversation of the Bill Russells, the Magics, the Birds, Tim Duncan, Jordans. I won't throw Kobe in there because it was him and Shaq, and it's different. He's at the bottom tier of this conversation, but
Mm.
Steph Curry is in that conversation if he wins another one. So, but Tim Duncan, bro,
Yeah.
72 win percentage, 5 rings, 660 win seasons. The rest of them 50 win seasons. Like
Never had a losing season.
he don't even know what
Never,
losing season is, bro.
never did not make the playoffs.
He don't know
Like
what that
from a
feels like.
rookie, he don't know what it's like to be home in March or May.
He's so
I
he's
mean,
always played, let's say 82. He might have got swept or something in the first round, whatever. So he's always played a minimum of or scheduled to play a minimum of 86 games every single year. That's the minimum.
oh yeah. And then another fun fact, just looking at his career overall, his first season in the league, he played 82 games. Next year, he played 50. So I'm assuming he got hurt. Then 74, 82, 82, 81, 69, 66, 80, 80, 78, 75, 78, 76. So he was playing
Mm-hmm.
consistent. Like you can tell the days he was hurt or something like that. He played consistently. And then he played in 1,392 games total. He started in all except three. So he came in starting. If he didn't start, he probably would hurt and they put him on minutes restriction or something. So only 3 games he didn't play that he didn't start. And he averaged 34 minutes a game his whole career. So he was playing.
Yeah.
So that's tough. Even his last season, he still played 25 minutes, and you know he was old. He played almost 20. He played 19 years.
Mm-hmm.
Or he
That's
played
crazy,
18
bro.
years.
That is that's that's dominant, bro. Like that's a
Dominance.
dominant career.
Like there's only a couple, like you were talking about Steph Curry. There's only a couple of players who've elevated a whole franchise. So like you say for Michael Jordan, you know,
Mm-hmm.
elevated the Bulls, and the Bulls weren't good before he got there. You say for Magic Johnson, because he elevated the Lakers that weren't good before he got there. And then Larry Bird, you can't say that about Larry Bird because they him and Magic they elevate the whole league.
That's the
So
only reason I'm throwing both of them in there because neither
yeah,
franchise was really like down and out for real,
but
but
they brought it
they
back
elevated
up.
the entire league. So
Yeah.
and they brought them
So
up like they were average, but to where the Lakers and Celtics standards are, they put it right there, which
yeah,
another conversation. But
back to being in the finals every.
yeah,
But Magic and Bird, who elevated the whole league. Then Mike elevated the Bulls. Tim Duncan elevated the Spurs. You
mm-hmm.
could say Shaq and Kobe elevated the Lakers, but Kobe really because Kobe stayed there the whole time. So we just
Mm-hmm.
say Kobe elevated the Lakers. We could say Bron elevated the Cavs, but then he ended up leaving. So and then he came back and won the Marine. So he elevated the Cavs, but they back to being the Cavs. So you could kind of throw him in there. You could not. That's debatable. You could say I would say D Wade elevated the Heat, but they only got one ring, and then Bron came, they got two more. So I would say D Wade elevated the Heat because if it's not for D Wade being in Miami, LeBron ain't coming to Miami. So I would say D Wade elevated the Heat, and then Steph Curry with the Warriors. I would say he elevated the Warriors. And I feel like to be somebody to elevate a franchise, you have to be drafted by that franchise. Because like
Mm-hmm.
you can sign with them or come there and trades or free agency or whatever and bring them up, but to be drafted by a franchise and become a franchise guy, that you yourself really elevated the franchise
Mm-hmm.
because they brought you up, you came up in this system, you came up in this organization, and you took it to a different level. So that's like kind of my criteria for that. So that's why I would say Kobe and not Shaq. That's why I say um that's why I would say a Tim and like not necessarily Kawhi Leonard or somebody like that. Like Tim came into the Spurs, drafted by Spurs, brought them up. Mike, Magic, Bird, Kobe, D Wade. I throw D Wade in there.
He's the lower
So
tier of that group, but
lower tier, but D
yeah,
Wade. But yeah, those six guys in like recent history. I could go all the way back, say Bill Russell and Elgin Baylor and all that. But
nobody doing all that, man. We ain't
yeah, we
talking
ain't
about
getting into all that right now. But it's only a handful of guys you could say elevated the entire franchise. And you gotta throw Tim in there, you gotta throw Steph Curry in there. If Braun would have stayed his whole career with the Cavs, you could definitely say that about Braun, but Braun left and then came back and then left again. So did he elevate the Cavs? Of course. Made the Cavs relevant, got them a ring, got them to the finals multiple years. You definitely can say he elevated the Cavs, but then he left. And like so, I ain't gonna throw him in there right now. But them six guys really the only ones we can say that about.
that. Mm-hmm.
Elevated an entire franchise. So, uh, yeah, man, that's shout out to Tim Duncan, man. You know, that's that's incredible. A
Yeah,
thousand wins on 1,300 games, or really almost 1,400. That's 72% win percentage. Like like to put it in perspective, Kareem won 73 more games than Tim Duncan. So he won more. He got the most wins. He
mm-hmm.
won 73 more games. He played in 150 more, 170 more games. So you're
Mm-hmm.
talking about 73 more wins, 170 more games. So
Mm-hmm.
Tim's win percentage is still better. Robert Parrish is second. He got 1,014 wins. So he got 13 more wins than Tim. Played in over 200 more games.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
So
yeah,
Tim got the best win percentage on this entire list, easily. I think he got the best win percentage in NBA history of guys that played at least probably like 500. You got to throw that in there.
yeah. Because you can. I played a game with the Warriors and they blew out such and such by 50. Then you got traded the next night, or you got cut the
Then I
next
got
night. Like,
Wade.
chill out, man. Like, just don't do that. I was part of the Heat winning streak when they won 27 straight. But yeah, but then you weren't playing first off on that team. You probably played two of those games because somebody got hurt, and then you got back to the G League or the D League, whatever it was around that time. Like, no, let's not do that. But yeah, man, shout out to
Man,
Tim Duncan.
I can't even look it up because they ain't put that disclaimer in there. I said I looked at the highest win percentage by NBA player in the regular season. It's 25 people with 100% win percentage. You play one game, two games, one game, 3 games, 9 games. I'm like, bro, come on, bro. Y'all supposed to put the little asterisk in there.
Yeah,
But yeah, man. Shout out to Tim Duncan, man. Welcome to the Give Tim Duncan His Flowers episode.
yeah,
Well, all right, man.
that's crazy, man.
Yeah, I think we spread enough knowledge for the day. Boy, no, boy, we might have to get back into this another day. Like, we might look at the mics next time and see who all might and play and like really like, cause I'm big on that. Like, who did Mike really play? Cause I
Hmm.
tell you all the time, like, I love Mike. I think Mike is the best, but Mike had the best team in his time. So, like, we can say we want, he had the best team and the best coach. He was the best player. So he's supposed to win. So I tell people that all the time, like when they put a little too much stock in the rings debate, you know what I'm saying? But maybe next time we get into Mike, dive into that, see who he was playing.
Yeah, because yeah, it's an interesting thought because, like you said, sometimes people don't consider the opponents. And
Right.
I'm not trying to say he wasn't playing. I'm not trying to finna say he's playing scrubs and he was playing policemen and firemen and plumbers. I'm not saying that. That's not what the conversation is headed to. But like we said before, if you're comparing who Tim Duncan played, not trying to compare eras at the same time either, because that's a whole nother conversation. But just like comparing who they played, like we can say that the '05 Suns and the 2003 Timberwolves were hands down the worst competition they played, especially compared to the '97 Cavs or the '93 freaking I don't know Kings or something or Jazz or whoever. Like, of course, that competition is not going to compare.
Right.
But you start ranking them, it's like, okay, Tim Duncan played five teams that were hands down better than these teams that Jordan played. Now we can start ranking that competition like that. But it's kind of tough to do, but at the same time, I think at some point you can say that this team was better than this team because if they play head to head, they would have smacked this team would have smacked that team. So that's kind of conversation we can have. But
Yeah.
that's a whole generation trying to come out our next that I'm not trying to hear right now. So,
All right.
but yeah, man.
Okay. Last stat, then we can get up out of here. I looked at the highest win percentage by an NBA player in the regular season, at least 1,000 games played. Manu,
Mm,
Tim Duncan, and Tony Parker are top three. All three of them. Manu played 1,057 games. He's won 72%. Tim Duncan played 1,392. He won 71 point. He won 71.9, so almost 72%. And then
mm,
Tony Parker, 1,254 games. He won 71%. If he didn't go to the Hornets at the tail end of his career, he might could have saved that, but you
yeah.
know, it's tough. But yeah, man. So if we talking, if we talking like winning, Tim Duncan, winner,
Oh yeah.
ultimate winner. But all right, that's it for stats. But anything else you want to throw out there, man, before we get on out of here?
Yeah, I wanted to do something with the coaching thing, but we didn't went super off track with that one.
Right,
So
we didn't win all left field, but go ahead.
nah, man. Nah, it's too much to get into for right now. But we'll probably, like you said, maybe revisit it. I'm gonna make a post about it. I don't know, but I think it's an interesting conversation to have of basically like the impact that they've had as coaches and where their impact kind of was. That might be just a little teaser for people for next time, but we'll see.
Yeah, man, we'll check that out. So y'all heard it, man. Y'all be sure to check us out next week, though. But that does it for another episode of the B-Ball Jones podcast, man. Hope y'all enjoyed it. Be sure to like and subscribe. We like to give y'all a couple of these episodes here and there where we just kind of, y'all just see us chop it up about, what we got on our mind. Just a little conversation about nothing. That's what we like to call it. So Hopefully y'all enjoyed it. Be sure to drop down in the comments. Let us know what you think about some of the things we said. You know, throw in your 2 cents. Uh, Let us know where you put Tim Duncan in y'all top tens and top fives or whatever. Cause Tim Duncan need his respect too, in the words of LeBron. But y'all let us know down in the comments. Be sure to follow Brian on all social medias at BeBall Jones. That's BeBall Jones on all social media platforms. Be sure to follow me at NellyH34 on Twitter at Nelson.HaskMyIG. And you can find me at my name on Facebook. We like to keep the conversation going on over there. Be sure to follow the podcast on TikTok. That's where you see all our little clips and takeaways from full episodes. So be sure to go follow over there and like what we already posted. And check that out for us. But that's it, man. Once again, we appreciate y'all for listening. Be sure to tune in next week for another great episode. But without further ado, man, we out.